Hey guys, today we're taking a look at my Fortune Lady deck. Now, Fortune Ladies basically change their levels every one of their turns, and then they get more attack and defense based on their levels. So they usually, or they all have like question mark attack and defense normally, but with their levels and as the turns go on, they get stronger and stronger. But the real strength of the deck is not actually the level increasing and stuff like that. It's more the individual effects, and I'll get into that once I talk a little bit more about my cards. So first off, 3 Fortune Lady Dark, somewhat of the star of the deck. So normally it'll have 2,000 attack and defense for a single tribute, which is obviously not amazing. But the idea is that it keeps increasing, so very soon it can start to become a really strong beater. The big thing about it is that when it destroys monsters, it can special summon Fortune Ladies from the graveyard, so you can start to swarm. You know, you can start to bring back another Dark and then start swarming more and more. And the big idea behind this card is that it can get special summoned very easily, which I'll talk about right now. So the other kind of star of the deck is Fortune Lady Light. So you look at this card, 1 star, 200 attack normally basically, and then it keeps gaining 200 attack, which is pretty weak. But the idea is that you keep trying to remove this from the field, because every time you remove this from the field, you could special summon a Fortune Lady. So the big idea behind this deck is using card effects that remove it from the field, because it can't be by battle, it has to be by card effects. And then summoning Fortune Lady Dark or Fortune Lady Fire, or whatever Fortune Lady you currently want, to kind of set up good field situation. And then we have Fortune Lady Fire. So Fortune Lady Fire has a very strong effect. It destroys a monster and then does burn damage for all the attack points. So very, very strong. People don't tend to run too many of this in their deck just because it can be cloggy just to get, but it's still a very nice effect to have. And then we have Fortune Lady Water. More of a normal attacker with 1200, and increases by 300. And when it gets special summoned, you have draw power. So very, very nice. This deck can tend to have a lot of draw power, and you can use it for like a draw engine. And then Tragoedia, perfect in this deck with all the level changing and all that stuff. You can really annoy your opponent with how you can use levels from the graveyard and take control of your opponent. So very, very nice. Effect Veiler, helpful in this deck. Plaguespreader, giving us access to a lot of synchros with all these different levels. It's very nice to have a tuner like this. Then we have Blackluster Soldier and Chaos Sorcerer. We have a good amount of dark and a decent amount of light, so getting these guys out won't be too hard. Also, 1 Kinka-Byo, just a very good card for special summoning Fortune Lady Light and then removing it from the field, so it can be very, very useful to set up things you need. And then Malefic Stardust Dragon, good in this deck to protect your field card. So now for the spell cards, MST, good overall this meta having 3 of this, but good for a specific thing you could do with this deck. Then the field card, Future Visions. So this card's really crazy. Basically, every card that gets normal summoned has to be removed from the field, and then it gets summoned next turn. So the idea is basically that you stall your opponent and you banish your Fortune Ladies, which lets you use their draw power and their special summoning abilities. So very, very nice. And then Fortune's Future, very, very nice using the banished Fortune Ladies to get draw power. Good with Future Visions, like I said. Good when light gets removed from the field, like you're planning to use it. Allure of Darkness, good in this deck, even though we only have like half dark. Banishing Fortune Ladies is not a big deal. So you're going to banish Fortune Lady Dark, use Fortune's Future, and then get the draw power, and then you have Fortune Lady Dark in the graveyard to use for other things. Gold Sarc, kind of similarly, you can use it for draw power and you can use it to get a card you need. Then we have Different Dimension Gate, just giving you access to another effect to banish cards on the field. Very, very powerful, letting you bring whatever you need out because of light. And then Dark Hole, Terraforming to get your field card. So now for the traps, otherwise stable traps, but Call the Haunted in this deck. Call the Haunted is interesting because if you can bait your opponent into destroying it and it's attached to Fortune Lady Light, you can activate the effect since it will be removed from the field by a card effect. So you can MST your own Call the Haunted. You could, if they MST your set Call the Haunted, you can activate it and then summon Fortune Lady Light. So you can do a lot of really interesting stuff like that. So Call the Haunted can be a very useful card in this deck. You really want to have a lot of things to, abuse Fortune Lady Light's effect. So now for the extra deck, we're going to have a variety of levels for synchros because not to mention we have a variety of levels in our monsters to begin with, but we have a variety of levels while they increase. So you really want to have a lot of different things. So Mistbird, Catastor, Arcanite Magician, in the spellcasters, Black Rose, Ancient Fairy Dragon with a field card, Scrap, Stardust, and Void Ogre Dragon. Just one I really like to have. I'm a big fan of this card and not that hard to get out. Just need Plaguespreader and Fortune Lady Dark after it's up to 1 level, which is very, very nice. Or, or Fortune Lady Light as well. For the XYZs, we're going to have some variety because we have, again, a variety of levels, but mostly staples: Gagaga, Exton Knight, Silent Honor, Volcasaurus, Photon Strike Bouncer, Big Eye, and Heretic, Sun Dragon. We do have other ways to get certain levels out in addition to the Fortune Ladies. So now for the side deck. Again, side decks in my videos are kind of just recommended cards that can also work when you're building your deck. You want to think about what cards you can use. It isn't like a side deck for matches, so don't try to think of it that way. But there are other Fortune Ladies. Fortune Lady Wind can be nice for destroying your opponent's spells and traps, but otherwise not that useful. Dark Arm Dragon can be useful in this deck. We're running a good amount of dark. Beast King Barbaros, you might be thinking what the point of this card is, but when it gets removed with Future Visions and comes back, it becomes 3,000 attack, so this can be a very powerful beater in this deck. Solitaire Magician is just kind of a support monster for Fortune Ladies to destroy cards. Earthbound Immortal, Asilipisu specifically, can be really nice because when it gets bounced from the field, you can really wreck your opponent. So that can be a really good card in this deck. I thought about putting it in here, but just wasn't what I wanted to do. Raymay for searching out Fortune Lady Light. And then the Witch of Fate, I'm not going to say that name because I don't know how to pronounce it, but this one is just useful for destroying special summon monsters because you're using all these question mark stat monsters. Watt Pheasant, really good for this deck. Because you can remove your Fortune Lady Light. There's a ton of other support that you can use. Time Passage is good for this deck. Obviously, it's for Fortune Ladies. Wonder Wand can be useful for some draw power. Galaxy Queen's Light can be really, really nice because you just make all your Fortune Ladies have insane levels. You can support this deck with Spellbooks because they're spellcasters. Not a fan of using that for this deck, but it's definitely a choice. There's a lot of traps that can help this deck. Interdimensional Matter Transporter, another way to activate Light's effect. Gagaga Shield to protect your Fortune Ladies. And Dimension Scale can be very nice as well. So a lot of different support, a lot of things you could do with this deck. Just not cards I'm running, but I can see their potential. So that's my Fortune Lady deck. Very fun to play. Can be iffy because the monsters aren't that strong, but they do have some interesting effects. And you do have a lot of different things you could do with this deck. A lot of synchros and XYZs and all that. So I do think it has a lot of potential, but I would definitely like to see some more good support down the line. But if you guys have your own Fortune Lady decks, post below. Let me know in the comments. Talk about what cards you use and that kind of thing. But thank you guys for watching. I'll see you later.